Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NFL Week 7 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. The road to 272 bets marches on. I'm recording this, of course, on Monday night, seeing if the final leg of the Fade Iain parlay comes through. Just a disastrous weekend for me as a sports fan, a disastrous day for me, specifically on this Monday as a Toronto and Falcons fan. Leafs lost in the afternoon. It was back to back to back to back. Leafs started at 2 p.m. Eastern against the Red Wings. They lost that game late. 5 p.m. Eastern, the Blue Jays took on the Mariners. That was over quick. The Mariners won 10-3, I think, in ALCS Game 2. And then right after that game, the Monday Night Football started between the Bills and Falcons. And yes, as I'm recording this, the Falcons are technically winning 21-14 with 7.5 minutes left in the game. But if you think the Falcons hold on to this lead, you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been listening to the show. You haven't been watching me over the past number of years or following me on Twitter, because the only way this day ends is a cherry on top of the Falcons blowing a 2-touchdown lead. A game where last play of the second half, they were definitely in field goal range. Drake London tries to go for the touchdown. His toe touches the sideline, which then kept him half an inch from scoring a touchdown. And then their latest drive ended in a blocked field goal. So, those kinds of things happen. You know what's next, and that is the Bills storming back to win the game. The only question will be whether or not they'll win enough to cover, or if at least I can get the Falcons to cover the spread. No, another fourth down. No, the Bills will punt. Okay, we'll see. Maybe the Falcons will not be my 13th reason today. Oh, boy. Listen, the Jays won the ALDS against the Yankees. That was nice. That was fun. I'm glad we didn't lose to our divisional rival in the second round. It's fun to see an ALCS, but that series has gotten late early. Mariners winning both games in Toronto. Now Toronto has to go to Seattle and win 2 of 1 in Seattle just to even force it to come back to Toronto for Game 6. So, listen, this Blue Jays team, I've doubted them several times throughout this season. I've been wrong every single time. They come back in the series. They come back in games. They had to win 4 straight just to win the division to close out the year. They did that. So they look like they're going to blow it against the Yankees. They didn't. They don't feel like the vibe of a team that usually lets me down. So we'll see if they can somehow turn this into a bit of a series. But, man, I'm going to be honest, man. Sports are getting to me. Sports are getting to me, man. Sometimes I fantasize about what my life would be if I didn't follow and watch sports every single day. If I didn't have teams that I cheered for and let me down year after year after year. So, what a life that would be. I could just watch TV shows. I could play video games. I could, read more. My mental health would be a lot better. I could go outside a little bit more. What a life that would be. But instead, for some reason, I'm a sports fan. I work in sports, so I just, get let down day after day, season after season, week after week. And on top of all that, I had the same betting week that I've had for most weeks in the NFL. I won my Thursday night pick, looked great. I won my Sunday morning pick in London, looked great. Was in a great spot heading into Sunday's afternoon slate, up 2-0 in the week already. And then I just lost it all. And now heading into tonight, I can't even have a profitable week. The best I can do if the Falcons and Commanders cover and the Commanders are losing at halftime, best I can hope for is a 7-8 week. So I'll be down money regardless. I'm assuming that with the way my luck is going, both these games will not convert, and I'll probably finish. So what would that be? 5-10? That'll be nice. So we'll see if I know my final record by the end of the show. But as it stands right now, the Falcons are covering, the Commanders are not. If both those results hold, it'll be a 6-9 week, which will be another pretty significant losing week. That'll be down over 4 units on the week. Was 2-0 to start the week. Patriots and Saints needed 8 points in the second half to hit the over. That didn't happen. 6 points total were scored in the second half. 49ers weren't at the whole game against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers pulled away late. Chargers were up, 2 scores over the Dolphins. They blew that lead, won, but couldn't cover the 4-point spread. Colts were up late against the Cardinals. Let the Cardinals score late to bring it within covering distance. And right there, all those went against me, and The Packers minus 14.5 was a bad bet for some reason. Lions was a terrible bet. They were too banged up. Shouldn't have bet on them. That was a dumb bet. Browns were a dumb bet. Ravens, Rams over was a dumb bet. I should just win Rams. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? All I can do is continue to bet and continue to record these podcasts, and slowly I'll go insane. And maybe by the end of the season, I'll end up in a mental institution. Maybe week 15 of the Road to 272 Bets will be recorded live from a mental institution. So we'll see how that goes. But I have my bets locked in for week 7. 15 games, 2 teams are on bye. So let's get into it. At this point, I would declare that you fade me. This is not my season. I cannot get a feel for the NFL, I guess. I'm just continuously on the wrong side of plays. So moving forward, until proven otherwise, I would recommend you fade my plays. But let's get into them. It is week 7. It is the week 7 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. The Road to 272, unfortunately, marches on. Well, would you look at that? Instead of my teams and bets melting down in front of my eyes while I record this podcast, the Falcons hold on to beat the Bills. The Falcons might be a legitimate, half-decent football team, maybe? Can I say that? Are they above average? Are they good? Number 1 ranked defense heading this week just kept Josh Allen to 14 points. Just got 2 interceptions off Josh Allen. Could be something cooking, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. I don't think I'm ever going to get my hopes up for any sports team ever again after what the Blue Jays are currently doing to me. But all right, let's get into my picks here for this week. So Falcons bring me to 6 wins. So Commanders are now actually covering as well. They just scored a touchdown, so maybe it can scrape out a 7-8 week, which would be minus 1.5 units. It is what it is. All right, let's see if I can put together a second winning week this season. Steelers-Bengals Thursday Night Football. I will take the Steelers minus 5.5 at minus 109. Maybe I underestimated the Steelers a little bit last week when I took the Browns in that game. But the Bengals are even worse than the Browns. So if you took Steelers last week against the Browns and that was a winning bet, I don't see why you wouldn't take Steelers this week. The Bengals don't have any redeeming qualities. At least the Browns are a pretty solid defensive team. The Bengals have nothing. 30th in EPA per play, 29th in opponent EPA per play, second last in the NFL in net yards per play, minus 1.6. Joe Flacco did something on the offense for the Bengals, but if he faces a team with a decent pass rush, I guess he did for the Bengals last week against the Packers. But we saw what Joe Flacco did for the first few weeks for the Browns. I don't think him being on the Bengals makes a ton of difference. I guess they have a couple of good receivers. But I still think the Steelers are the side to back in this one. The Steelers, I called them, I think last week, I called them the definition of an average team. Maybe they're the definition of an above average team. 9th in DVOA heading into this week. And Aaron Rodgers has looked solid, far from the Aaron Rodgers that was winning MVPs. But, this has kind of been the Steelers thing, is that they're coached well. They're always a solid defense, but then their quarterback just can't really get them over the hump in a lot of games. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can do exactly that. I just want no part in betting on the Bengals unless they're getting more than a touchdown worth of points against almost any team in the NFL. So I don't necessarily want to take the Bengals in this spot. Now, that being said, 2 weeks in a row, we've seen road favorites taking on a divisional team on a short week on Thursday Night Football, and 2 weeks in a row, the divisional underdog won the game. 2 weeks ago with the 49ers, who had basically putting out a practice squad roster against the Rams, and then last week the Giants against the Eagles. I don't think we're going to see that 3 weeks in a row. The Bengals are just that bad. The 49ers were good, just hurt, and last week the Giants at least have some good things going for them, and the Eagles were completely overrated. So I don't think it's going to happen again, so I will take the Steelers minus 5.5 and minus 109. Moving on to London. I think we're getting somewhere close to the end of the international games. I think there's this one. There's the Falcons and Colts in Germany in a few weeks, and then one more in Spain? Is there a Spain game? NFL international games in 2025. The point of all this is that I'm sick of them. I can't have an entire day of football. I need to be able to do something in the morning before the football starts. I nailed it. So this is the last one for a few weeks, and then Falcons and Colts play in Germany. That'll be a long day for you, boy. November 9th, whatever week that is, and then Commanders, Dolphins play the week after in Madrid. So we at least get a couple breaks from the international games after this week. A couple weeks of breaks from international games. Rams, Jaguars, it's an interesting one this week. One of the ones that you should probably wait until you bet on, to wait to see if Puka Nacua is going to play before you decide which side to bet on. Obviously, I can't do that with all my bets needing to be locked in before I record this podcast. So I am going to bank a little bit on Puka Nacua being out. But even if he does play, I think this bet still has a chance. I will take the Rams and Jaguars under 44.5. If they do not have Puka Nacua, I don't really know how the Rams are going to be able to put up a ton of points. Puka Nacua has 28 more receptions than any other receiver on this team. Tutu Atwell looks like he's going to be out as well. So they're kind of left with Jordan Whittington and Devontae Adams, which is still good. I think that'll be enough for the Rams to win. I don't know if I necessarily want to lay the points on them, though, without Puka Nacua in their lineup. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm watching the last 10 minutes of Bears Commanders. With that being said, on the other team, the other side of things, I think the Jaguars offense stinks. I've talked about Trevor Lawrence. I'm out on Trevor Lawrence. His numbers and metrics have not been good this season. Their defense has been solid. I think the defense has been the better of the two sides of the ball. Now, to be fair, a lot of their EPA numbers for the Jaguars are coming off the amount of turnovers that they are able to force. I don't think that's sustainable. But still, I do think they're the better unit between the offense and the defense for the Jaguars. And the Rams, without Puka Nacua, their defense is the better of the two units. So I will take the Lunder, as they call it, the under in London, under 44.5 and minus 105 to start off the action on Sunday. Plug your nose and get ready for this one. This is a stinky one. It is, the Bears just scored a long touchdown. How do you let DeAndre Swift score a 50, 60-yard touchdown? Okay, Commander's no longer covering. All right. Then we're going to go for a 2-point conversion, I would assume, here to see if they can tie it up. I'm going to take the Raiders plus 12 against the Chiefs. It is clear that the Chiefs dynasty is not yet over. They have looked very good the past few weeks, even despite that loss to the Jaguars. I thought the Chiefs were the better team in that game. And now the Chiefs, their metrics are actually way better than they were last year when they went 15-2 last year, 15-1 heading into the last Week 18 meaningless game for them. But their metrics are way better, which makes me extremely nervous, especially with how gettable the entire league is this season. There's no real team that stands out. The Bills, we have now seen their kind of flaws be exposed on defense. The Ravens are an absolute shit show. I guess the Colts might be their biggest challenge in the AFC. Bears not get the 2-point conversion. So this is kind of unfortunately lining up for another Chiefs Super Bowl run. I think the moment has passed when he could have bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. They're up to 7-1. They're like 12-1 a couple of weeks ago. I'm sorry I keep yawning. I'm truly exhausted. So my energy is a little bit low on this episode as well. It's busy. The bad thing about the Jays being on a deep playoff run is I don't get any. Usually the way it works for me during the football season is Monday nights, obviously late nights for me with recording this podcast and watching football. Thursdays late because of football. Saturdays late because I'm doing other things that are not sports related. Sundays late because of football. So my days that I can go to bed early and kind of catch up on sleep are Tuesday, Wednesday. But then now those are just the days that the Jays play, so I'm just up late anyways those days. So I haven't gone to bed early or got more than 6 hours of sleep in 2 weeks now. So it's kind of catching up to me at this point. I digress. Nobody gives a shit about how tired I am. I apologize for yawning. I'm gonna try not to yawn anymore. Last yawn. This is it. All right, that's it. That's my last yawn. No more yawns for the rest of the podcast. Where was I? I'm losing my mind, and we're 7 weeks into this season. I do think the Raiders have some interesting stylistic matchups in this game. The Chiefs' biggest issue, especially on defense, has been stopping the run. They're 30th in opponent rush EPA. They give up 4.7 yards per carry. If the Raiders can get Ash and Genty going a little bit, that is kind of a path to, maybe not victory, but a path to keeping this game a little bit close. And the Raiders have, been solid on defense. I know the record hasn't shown that, but they're 10th in defensive DVOA. That's better than the Chiefs, who come in at 19th. They're also 10th in opponent EPA per play. So I just think with the defensive advantage being towards the Raiders, I think 12 points is too much. I'm not saying the Raiders are a good team. I'm not saying they're an average team, but I do think they're slightly better than the betting market is kind of evaluating them as. And the Chiefs are always kind of, maybe they aren't. Maybe the market has them properly rated, the Chiefs, especially after they kind of ran through the Lions on Sunday night. With that being said, I will take the Packers plus 12 at minus 107 in that game. Eagles Vikings. I hate it when there's two teams that I want to fade and they play against each other, because then I don't really know what to do. The Vikings are coming off their bye week. It hasn't been announced who's starting at quarterback. I think JJ McCarthy's like healthy enough to play, but I don't know if they want to play him yet. That maybe they want to give him more time to develop. Regardless, I don't know if I'd want to bet on the Vikings no matter who plays quarterback for them. Now, I've been leading the charge of fading the Eagles. I took Broncos money line 2 weeks ago. I wish I took Giants money line, but I did take Giants to cover the spread on Thursday Night Football this past week. But I think I have to, unfortunately, take the Eagles in this spot. I don't really want to. But they're only 2.5-point favorites, taking on a Vikings team who I continue to think is completely overrated. 27th in the league in EPA per play, 27th in DVOA. Their quarterbacks are ranked in the bottom 4 in quarterback stats. Let me actually bring my favorite website up, RBSDM. Running backs don't matter. RBSDM.com. Let's see where these two guys rank in the overall best quarterback stat, EPA plus CPOE composite. The two Vikings quarterbacks neither of them have played enough to be, so I need to adjust snap. Oh, wait. Carson Wentz is 11th. Wow, that's actually shocking. Wow. Carson Wentz is 11th in the NFL right now in EPA plus CPOE. How is that possible? Carson Wentz completed 72.6% of passes. I said I was done yawning. I lied, I guess. I can't help it. Okay, I hope the Vikings go with JJ McCarthy. Still, the Vikings defense, while very good, they have had some issues in stopping the run this season. That is obviously the Eagles typically have done well. Have not done well so far this season. But I think this is the ultimate buy low spot. You know, this is kind of what the NFL is all about. Selling at the right time, buying at the right time for teams. Maybe I'm buying a little too early back in on the Eagles. But with the spread being below a field goal, I just think the Eagles are the overall better team. And, you know, they aren't as good as they were when they were 4-0. They're not as bad as they've looked the past 2 weeks. So, yeah, and the Vikings are coming off a bye, but the Eagles are coming off a little bit of an extended rest as well, having played last Thursday night. So I will take the Eagles minus 2.5, minus 106 on the road against Minnesota. All right, I need the Commanders to score on this drive. Would be nice. Let's go the toilet bowl of the week. The Panthers against the Jets. I will take the Panthers. I got them at a pick'em. Minus 110 in New Jersey against the Jets. The Panthers, better than a lot of people thought. I was on them last week. It was one of my few wins last week against the Cowboys. Should have taken the money line. But they outranked the Jets in almost every single category. So I make the Panthers actually like 1.5 favorites in this one on the road, which would be, 2.5 point favorites at a neutral site. They outrank them in DVOA, net yards per play, EPA per play, and opponent EPA per play. They outrank them in every single metric you can find, not by a ton, but by enough that it is noteworthy. Garrett Wilson, actually I saw that he is going to miss a couple of weeks. Now, I saw that after I placed this bet. I wonder if the line moved. Yeah, Panthers are now 1.5 point favorites. I still like the Panthers at 1.5 point favorites. I had them as 1.5 point favorites when Garrett Wilson was still in. So I think you can bet that up to 2.5. The Jets have nobody. Justin Fields, clearly not an NFL quarterback. Aaron Glenn experiment might be a failure for New York. Now, I kind of still believe in him, but, a lot of bad reports coming out about Aaron Glenn. We'll see if he's able to turn things around. I mean, it's kind of hard to take over a bad roster and immediately make them good. You usually need a couple of years to kind of mold them into how you want them to be. I mean, just take a look at Shane Steichen. His first year with Indianapolis certainly didn't look good, but still. More momentum is behind the Panthers. They have the better metrics. The Jets are dealing with some injuries. I will take Carolina as a pick'em, but I like it up to 2.5 on the road against the Jets. The Dolphins and the Browns. I feel like I'm on the wrong side of Dolphins games every single week this season. They're dysfunctional. Tua Tagovailoa came out after that win against the Chargers saying that team players aren't showing up to players-only meetings. He's throwing his teammates under the bus. This just seems like a team that's bursting at the seams, that's ready to just fold. And it's going to happen one of these weeks. They're going to lose by a ton, and that's going to be kind of it. The Browns are 2.5-point favorites. I'll lay the points with the Cleveland Browns. At least the Browns have something on defense. It's one of the better defenses in the NFL against the second worst. Dolphins defense 31st in opponent EPA and DVOA. Dylan Gabriel has had two very tough defenses to face in his first two starts in the Vikings and the Steelers last week. Now he gets to face a defense that he should be able to pick apart. The Browns are at home. Myles Garrett hopefully gets after Tua a little bit. The Dolphins still obviously don't have Tyreek Hill, although I was shocked they were able to do what they were able to do offensively against the Chargers last week. That has changed my opinion about Los Angeles a little bit. But still, for this game, it's kind of an ugly bet because it's hard to lay points on a team as bad as the Browns. But I think the Dolphins, and this is armchair psychologist, the Dolphins have all the signs of a team that's going to burst at the seams in the worst way possible. And that could happen against a team that has as good of a defense as what the Browns have. So I'll take the Browns -2.5, -106. Saints against the Bears. We'll see what this line opens up at. The Bears are actually putting up a fight, so you might be able to get this bet at a better odds than what I got it at. Get in field goal range at least, boys. Or take it, or throw the ball away. That works too. Perfect. I don't think they're in field. I think they're just outside field goal range, aren't they? I'm so glad the 2 points at CLV I got on the Commanders once again won't mean anything. 40-yard line, that'd be a 57-yard field goal. No, they're not going to kick that in these conditions. The Saints and the Bears, my upset pick of the week is the New Orleans Saints +210 against the Chicago Bears. The Saints have just one win on the season, but I actually think they're better than their preseason expectations show and better than their record shows so far this season. Spencer Rattler has shown flashes of being a competent quarterback at times. Their defense ranks in the top half in stopping the run, which will be important against the Bears. They've given up just 3.8 yards per carry. And I'm out on the Bears, which might, that's why I bet the Commanders tonight, which might come back to haunt me because the Bears have a chance to go down and get some game-winning points here. But the Bears, and I don't have updated numbers, of course, but heading into Monday Night Football, the Bears ranked in the bottom 5 in a lot of categories. 30th in net yards per play, 25th in DVOA, bottom 10 in both EPA and success rate. I think they are prime for an upset here, and I think they are overvalued in the betting market. So give me the Saints as my upset pick of the week at +210 against the Bears. I was just going to say, should have taken some more shots on outright upset winners this past week. Yeah, I could have gone Panthers money line. I could have gone Giants money line. I could have gone Falcons money line. A lot of favorites did win outright this past week. Really, the only people who lost in Survivor were people who took the Eagles. And a couple of people in some other pools who took the Cowboys against the Panthers. Moving on, what do we got here next? Patriots against the Titans. The Titans have fired Brian Callahan. Now, that always makes it tricky from a betting perspective because you don't really know how teams are going to react to that. Can a coach make that big of a difference? Just look at UCLA. UCLA was like the worst team in the country, had led any of their games for 0.0 time ever, and then they fire their coach, and now they've upset Penn State and Michigan State 2 straight weeks. Now, the NFL level is a little bit different, but we have seen in the past sometimes that interim head coaches have a great performance in their first game. Don't forget Jeff Saturday. Remember that for the Colts a few years ago? The Colts fired their coach. It was that quarterback guy. Who is I'm blanking on the name. And then they brought in Jeff Saturday for some reason to be their interim head coach, and then the Colts won their first game with him, and then lost 7 straight to end the season. So you don't really even know, but at the end of the day, I got to take the Patriots -6.5. I got it at 6.5. This was before the Brian Callahan news broke. Let me see if there's still a 6.5 available. The Patriots at Proline. If you're in Canada and you want to bet Proline, there's a 6.5 -120 available. The Score, if you're in Canada, 6.5 -125. American Books, ESPN Bet. You got a 6.5 -125 as of recording this podcast. So if you can find a 6.5, I would obviously jump all over that. I would still take it at that mark of 7 though. I'm a believer in this Patriots team, which sucks. I hate the Patriots. I hate Boston fans. I don't want to see them win, but I can't just bet based on that. The Patriots offense has been fantastic. Drake May, I think, is actually worth a bet to win NFL MVP at like 16-1 right now. He's been torching defenses when he's played against them. And the Titans are just they're just the worst team in the NFL. Last in net yards per play, 31st in DVOA. Last in EPA per play, 27th in opponent EPA per play. Cam Ward is on pace to smash the record for the most times a quarterback's been sacked in a season. That's not good. Like, the only time, I bet on the Titans the first 2 weeks, that was stupid, but I bet on the Titans a couple of weeks ago because they were touchdown underdogs against a team that I felt was not a good team, which was the Cardinals. And still the Cardinals should have covered in that game. Some bounces went our way. The Patriots are far and away better than the Cardinals for sure. So I have no problem laying 6.5 points with the Patriots. Their defense is not great. But they're good enough to shut down Cam Ward. Mike Vrabel's obviously coaching against his former team. Revenge factor. Sure. But that means nothing because there is no revenge factor because what's he going to do? Now coach harder? Like, he's not trying in the NFL as an NFL head coach, but now that he's facing the team that fired him, now he's going to try harder somehow for some reason. No, he's already trying as hard as he can. Patriots minus 6.5, minus 120 between the Patriots and the Titans. We got the Colts and the Chargers. And I will take the Colts on the money line in this one. If the Commanders could get a safety here, that'd be a 4-point lead. That would cover the spread I got of that. Colts plus 108 against the Chargers. I've had enough. And I think I've said this before, but then I did bet on the Colts this past week. They didn't cover. But we need to start treating the Indianapolis Colts as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. 6 games, I think, is enough of a sample size to at least trust the numbers we're seeing. They're second in the NFL in DVOA, 5th in the NFL in net yards per play, and they're the only team. I'm seeing in my notes, I wrote they're the only team in the majors. I've been watching too much baseball. Only team in the NFL who ranks in the top 6 in both EPA per play and opponent EPA per play. So they're the best EPA team in the NFL, the second best DVOA team, 5th in net yards per play. I don't know what else, they need to do to prove the doubters that they are a legitimate football team. I've talked with this last week, but we've seen teams overperform early in the season, but their records are always better than their underlying numbers show. The metrics, the advanced metrics never lie. The Colts don't have bad advanced metrics, though. They have very, very good advanced metrics. And they're good on both sides of the football, too. It's not just a one-sided thing like with the Commanders last season. Great numbers offensively, but their defensive numbers still weren't great, so it was hard for me to trust them. The Colts have great numbers on both sides of the football, so I have to trust them. Meanwhile, the Chargers' offense has struggled. They're missing their top 2 offensive tackles. They're coming into this week 21st in the NFL in EPA per play, 10th in net yards per play. I'm not as high on Justin Herbert as some other people are. I guess, I don't know. It's hard to also judge a guy when he doesn't have his 2 starting tackles. That's tough. And their defense just got torched by the Dolphins. I'd be scared if I was a Chargers fan. Now, if they're underdogs in this game, I would consider betting on them. But the Chargers as favorites against the red-hot Colts? I don't know about that. Give me the Colts, plus 108. The Giants against the Broncos. I will lay the points for the Denver Broncos. I still have a lot of issues with the Broncos. But this is a nightmare situation for Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has to go on the road against the best defense in the NFL at Mile High, at elevation. Nightmare situation. Broncos defense ranks 6th in DVOA, 1st in opponent EPA per play, 1st in opponent success rate. Their secondary has been fantastic. You can kind of run the ball against the Broncos, but you can't throw the ball against them. And the Broncos do lead the NFL in net yards per play at home at plus 2.5. So you can find spots to bet against them on the road. I would struggle finding a reason to bet against them when they're at home. We've seen them already just torch a fellow rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. Jackson Dart is fun. And Giants fans, hey, enjoy it. Have fun with the Giants because you guys have been tortured for the past, when was their second Super Bowl? 2012, 2013, 2012, I think, was their second Super Bowl, right? So over a decade, the Giants have been just tortured. Enjoy having some fun players, at least. You guys aren't going to be in the playoffs. You guys aren't going to win the division. But you might be able to have some, just have some fun. With that being said, don't bet on the Giants because Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo are fun. That would be irresponsible. This is going to be too hard of a matchup for them on the road against this Broncos defense. Don't be silly. Take the Broncos -6.5 at home. Packers and the Cardinals, another 6.5 point favorite here. A lot of great teaser legs for this week. I will take the Packers -6.5. I still believe in this Packers team. I think the Packers might end up being the number 1 or number 2 Super Bowl contender out of the NFC. I mean, they kind of are that now. But I think the Cardinals or the Packers at some point are going to hit their stride and really to prove to people how good they are. It hasn't been the case the past few weeks. I mean, they tied the Cowboys and went on bye and then beat the Bengals, but somehow let the Bengals kind of stay around. This could be the game. This could be a coming out party for this Packers team. Their metrics have been fantastic. The Cardinals are banged up. We don't know who's going to start a quarterback for them, whether it's Jacoby Brissett or Kyler Murray. To be honest, I'd rather it be Kyler Murray. I think Jacoby Brissett might be better. Darius Robinson on the defensive line, Bilal Nicholas on the defensive line, Marvin Harrison on the injury report, Amari DiMarcardo on the injury report. A lot of injuries for the Cardinals, and overall, you guys know my opinions about them from the past couple of weeks. I'm just not high on this team in general. So I'll take the Packers -6.5 here, -110. The Commanders and the Cowboys, we will see what this line opens back up at after this game, but I will be taking the Commanders -2, -109 is what I got this at. The Cowboys have the worst defense in the NFL, and it's not close. Last in DVOA, last in opponent EPA per play, last in opponent success rate, 30th in opponent yards per play, 6.2 yards per snap. That means their offense has to score the ball almost every time they touch the ball if they want any chance of winning any games. And they've done that already a couple times. They did that against the Packers. They tied them, They almost did it against the Eagles in week 1. But then if they don't score every single time they touch the ball, they lose. We saw that against the Panthers last week. The Commanders are good enough that they're going to be able to stop the Cowboys a few times, and their offense is good enough the Commanders' offense might not get stopped the entire game. So I feel comfortable laying 2 points on the Commanders here. Commanders' offense is inside the top 10 in virtually every metric before tonight. And I mean, they scored 24 points, about to score some more, so I don't see that changing. Damn, they might not kick a field goal in this weather, so I need them to kind of... Damn, this might be tough for them to cover this spread. They might just run the clock out. 3:10, Bears have 2 timeouts, 3rd and 1. That's going to be a timeout, 2 minute... Yeah, so 2 more first downs might be over. Where are they at? Are they in field goal range? Damn, that weather looks gross. Regardless, I'll back the Cowboys when they're getting points, because when they're getting points, their offense can do enough to keep it close, especially against a good team. I guess they're getting points here, 2 points, but that's not enough points. I would need definitely more than a field goal to back the Cowboys because of how bad their defense is. You could just continue to bet the over in Cowboys games. That's a strategy. What's the over set at? I don't know, because the line's not posted because the Commanders are currently playing. I'm going to guess the line's going to be in the 50s at this point. So you could just bet the over, but I will go Commanders -2, -109. Sunday Night Football, we have my Falcons against the Bills. Big game. If the Falcons can get through the tough stretch of their schedule at 4-2, that's going to put them in the driver's seat moving forward. But once again, same thing that happened last year to the Falcons, where like the teams that were supposed to be bad on their schedule are actually very good, like the Colts. Like that, I had that circled as a win, but that's going to be tough for them to win. Oh, the Commanders got stopped. And the Bears, the Commanders fumbled. The Bears just recovered in midfield. So yeah, that bet's dead. So I'm 6-9 on the week, for fuck's sakes. Have they reposted? They have not yet posted, at least here, the Falcons and 49ers lines. It's part of the reason why I hate the Monday Night Football doubleheaders. No, they haven't there either. Has any book reposted the lines? Nope. Before their game, I took the Falcons plus 3.5. We'll see if they come out as a little bit shorter after, looking impressive against the Bills. But I took the Falcons getting 3.5 against the 49ers. We have seen this Falcons team now. I mean, they kind of proved it to you guys on prime time. They are an actual good football team, I think. Their defense was first in DVOA heading into this week after shutting down the Bills and keeping them to 14 points and getting 2 interceptions. I'm going to assume they're still going to be the number 1 defense. Their offense has weapons. It comes down to, for the Falcons, is Michael Penix going to have a good game? He's had more good games than bad games so far, so I see no reason why I wouldn't trust him. And these 49ers, kind of the opposite to last year, where things are going their way in terms of like in-game variance, but their numbers have not been as good. 21st in the NFL in DVOA, 17th in net yards per play. It does concern me the Falcons are playing on the road. They haven't really played well on the road this season. But still, I think Atlanta is the side to back here, especially if they're still getting at least a field goal worth of points. I will back the Falcons at plus 3.5 minus 115. I'm ready to declare the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the most fraudulent team currently in the NFL right now. And I think a lot of sharp bettors will agree with me because yes, the Buccaneers continue to find ways to win. They are 5-1, but their underlying metrics don't match their record. And before you say that I don't know ball and that I'm an idiot, I said the same thing about the Eagles 2 weeks ago, and they've lost 2 weeks straight. 13th in the NFL in TVOA, 11th in net yards per play. Their secondary has been horrific. 21st in opponent dropback EPA, 27th in opponent dropback success rate, 24th in opponent yards per pass attempt, giving up 7 yards per throw. It is simply difficult, and I would say maybe impossible, to continue to win games when your underlying metrics are that bad. And now you got to take on a Lions team who, yes, the Lions will be without Brian. They won't be without Brian. They will be without Brian Branch because he punched Juju Smith-Schuster in the face. And their secondary is extremely banged up, but they have an offense that should be able to score at will through the air against this Buccaneers defense. I'm selling my stock in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think you should too. It's time to bet on the Lions to bounce back in this spot here against a defense that I don't think is well suited to slow them down through the air. I will take the Lions minus 4.5, minus 110 in the first of 2 Monday Night Football games. Stop with the Monday Night Football doubleheaders. Please, I beg of you. Someone just tweeted at me the Falcons are 3-3. No, they're not. They're 3-2. That's a winning record. They had a bye week. Why is everyone like saying that the Falcons stink? I tweeted the Falcons are a good football team, and I'm getting replies of people disagreeing with me. What are you talking about? Someone just said no, the Bills just suck. Bills are Super Bowl favorites. Literally. And they also ranked, 10th in DVOA. I guess beating the Bills on Sunday Night Football by 10 points wasn't enough to convince people that this team's half good. So, not great. Where am I at? The last Monday Night Football game here. Texans, Seahawks. 2 teams. I hate when 2 teams that I want to fade play against each other. I hate 2 teams that I want to buy stock on play against each other. I will take the Texans plus 3.5 minus 105. I've been ranting and raving about how good I think the Seahawks team is. First in the NFL in DVOA. But the Texans, a lot better than you might think. They had some offensive issues to start the year, but now they've scored plenty of points in their last 2 games. Of course, those games came against the Titans and Ravens, so maybe their offense does kind of stink, but their defense might be the best in the NFL or top 3. Fewest points per game the defense is giving up. Overall, the Texans are 8th in DVOA, 3rd in defensive DVOA, 7th in special teams. Net yards per play, the Texans are 7th, plus 0.7. All areas that not quite as good as the Seahawks, but very close to the Seahawks. And we're getting more than that magic number of 3. So I think we're going to get a very close game between these 2 teams. So I will take the Texans getting 3 and a half points. I think their defense is good enough alone to keep this close, and then hopefully their offense can do enough to cover the spread and maybe even potentially win the game outright. So, yeah, I'm high on the Seahawks, but I'm also high on the Texans. So I will take the side that's getting more than a field goal worth of points. All right, I will recap my plays for this week. We got the Steelers -5.5, -109 against the Bengals. Rams, Jaguars under 44.5, -105. Raiders +12, -107 against the Chiefs. Eagles, Vikings. Eagles -2.5, -106. The Panthers pick 'em against the Jets. The Browns -2.5, -106 against the Dolphins. The Saints on the money line, upset pick of the week, +210 against the Bears. The Patriots -6.5, -120 against the Titans. The Colts +108 against the Chargers. The Broncos -6.5, -115 against the Giants. The Packers -6.5 against the Cardinals. The Commanders -2, -109 against the Cowboys. The Falcons +3.5, -115 against the 49ers. The Lions -4.5 against the Buccaneers. And the Texans +3.5, -105 against the Seahawks. Let's talk my 5 best bets for this week. I went 2-3 with them last week, so that was not good. I won the Seahawks and Raiders, lost Browns, Colts, and Packers. My favorite plays for this week, I like the Panthers to cover against the Jets, Patriots, cover against the Titans, Colts, cover against the Chargers, Broncos, cover against the Giants, and Falcons cover against the 49ers. So Panthers, Patriots, Colts, Broncos, Falcons are my 5 best bets for next week. Survivor Pool. Only 4 people eliminated in the Road to 272 Survivor Pool. It was 4 people who took the Eagles on Thursday night. So we have 53 people still battling for the grand prize for that pool. I'm taking the Broncos this week, which will be my pick for the Bacon Bets Road to 272 Survivor Pool. Now, at some point, I'm going to have to stop giving you guys my Survivor picks because I don't want people to just copy me. But most of you aren't going to be able to take this pick anyways because the Broncos are actually pretty heavily used already this season. I'm trying to see if I can find season-long availability numbers. Why is it showing me like I have to look through team by team for who's available? What if I do this? 1, 2, yeah. A lot of people have used Denver. If you can't use Denver and Survivor this week, what other options do you have? You could take the Patriots on the road to the Titans. It's a road game, though. But I'd feel pretty safe in that, I think. If you want to burn the Chiefs, you could take the Chiefs at home to the Raiders. That'd be the biggest favorite. That's probably going to be the most popular pick, but that's divisional. That scares me. Packers on the road to the Cardinals. Whew. I mean, you have other options. They're just road games. I think the Broncos, if you have them, I think you go Broncos. If I didn't have Broncos, I would probably go... Like, if I just could pick any team, and I could, except for the Broncos, I would go... I'd probably just burn the Chiefs, to be honest. I know it's a divisional game, but sometimes, there's no point in using a good team except for when you're using them when they're huge favorites. I mean, I used the Packers last week. I could have used, someone a little bit more sneaky, but screw it, If you're only going to take a good team when they're a 4-point favorite, then you may as well just take someone else, But I'm going to go Broncos this week. At home to the Giants, home game, rookie quarterback coming to town, defense had shut them down. I still have them available, so I'm fine with that. I still have a lot of good teams left to use. I used the Ravens the only week that they won this season, so that was a good time to use the Ravens back in week 2. The Bears, looking like they're going to win. Upset the Commanders, so yeah. That'll drop me to 6-9 on the week. That'll be like minus 4.5 units. I'll have lost basically everything that I won last week. All right. Teaser of the week. I've been crushing the teasers of the week. I think I've only lost 1 teaser of the week so far this season. You got a lot of options. I might do like a multi-6-leg teaser, but for the sake of the show, my 2 favorite legs, I'm going to tease the Patriots down from 6.5 to minus 0.5 against the Titans. If that's 7, you can do 7 just to down to minus 1 against the Titans. And then the Colts plus 1.5 up to plus 7.5 against the Chargers. So Teasing the Patriots down, you're crossing key numbers of 6 and 3. Teasing the Colts up, you're crossing key numbers 3, 6, and 7. I think that's a fantastic spot. You just need the Patriots to win, and then you just need the Colts to not lose by more than a touchdown. So Patriots down to pick them, or I should say, 0.5, and then Colts up to plus 7.5 against the Chargers. That is my teaser of the week. This has been the Week 7 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate and review the audio version of this podcast. Subscribe to the Bacon Bets podcast on YouTube. Best of luck to all your bets this week. Gamble or bless. The road to 272 marches on.